conservatism as the social immune system. Disgust is considered to be one of the basic human emotions, defined by a strong revulsion and desire to withdraw from an eliciting stimulus or event. Physically, disgust is accompanied by a distinct facial expression involving constriction of the oral and nasal cavities. So that's the disgust phase, which closes up your nose and your mouth so that things can't get in. Evolutionary models of disgust propose that this emotion evolved to help us avoid contaminated or harmful foods or other potential sources of disease, such as sexual contact. You know, there's lots of psychoanalytic theories about sexual shame and sexual disgust, but it's much more straightforward, as far as I'm concerned, to view it as a biological battle. There's approach systems and sexual arousal systems that are involved in moving you forward towards a sexual partner, but there's disgust systems that guard you against it, and those two things are mutually regulatory, and so you're basically stuck in the middle. It's half move forward and half be repelled, and that's partly also the balance of those two things is what helps you select a sexual partner, and people generally are quite selective about their sexual partners. So, and we say, well, why are you selective about your sexual partners? Well, there's the obvious practical reasons, but then there's the reasons that are more tightly associated with biological protection. And so, even though we don't like to think that way. In addition to its role in directly helping to expel harmful foods from the body, disgust also forms an important component of the behavioral immune system, the suite of psychological mechanisms that aid in the detection and avoidance of potential contaminants before they can make contact with the body. Although disgust may have its origins in the protection against physical contamination, a number of studies have implicated disgust responses in moral decision making. And there's been experiments that are specifically associated with the elicitation of disgust and the observation of the corresponding behaviors in the lab. So here's an example. So imagine I gave you a sterilized beaker and I said, well, expel some saliva into it. Now wait 10 seconds and drink it. Will you? Well, people, no. You see, you made a disgust face, right? Well, the question is why? Right, you know it's sterile, it was in your mouth seconds before, why all of a sudden have you switched from it being part of your body to not being part of your body? And also being part of your body that, well, wasn't ingested, it was part of you, to being something that there's no damn way you're going to have anything to do with. So, well, so that's a good example. That's a good example of the disgust mechanism in operation. You know, distinguishing between self and non-self is a very, very difficult thing, and there's multiple mechanisms that do it, and it's definitely necessary. Although disgust may have its origins in protection against physical contamination, a number of studies have implicated disgust responses in moral decision making. I mean, you know that you can see the activity of the behavioral immune system in such simple things as avoiding sources of contamination on a sidewalk, right? If you see something that's disgusting, say rotting food or something like that on a sidewalk, the probability that you're going to step in it is very low. You're going to see it and you're going to make a face and you're going to go around it. And the reason for that is because you don't want that attached to you in any way. And the reason for that is, well, it's disgusting, it's contaminating, and the association there is that it's a place where you could conceivably pick up a disease. Now you see pathologies of this system arise. Generally, obsessive compulsive disorder, so chronic hand washing, for example, is classified as an anxiety disorder, but there is an anxiety component to it, but I don't believe that that's an accurate classification. I think that obsessive compulsive disorder is actually a disorder of disgust.